Are we live now?
Yes,
okay.
You're
Yay.
live. Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be that person. Are we live? Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm. We can hear you loud and clear.
Okay. Just getting things set up here on the phones so we can monitor it. Cool. Welcome to my third ever live on this channel. And what I'm going to be doing today, you can hear me, is talking about what's coming for the channel in 2021. And if you guys have not met my husband, Stan, this is Stan from the channel Life with Stan, formerly known as the Albert Family Channel. And he is my partner in all of this. He encourages me. He is my rock. And we are going on this journey together.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of things have been happening behind the scenes. December has actually been really big, which is why I've actually been posting one video a week. I'm going to be returning to 2 videos a week in January, but we needed some time to kind of slow down a little bit and recalibrate. And the things that are happening and going to be happening in 2021 are going to be pretty big. And they need some time to develop. So one of the things that is really big that I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be launching my first ever program. So you guys know me. And if this is your first time here, I'm a spiritual transformational life coach. And that's a mouthful. And it's really difficult to try to explain to people, like, what is a spiritual life coach? Or what is a life coach in general? And then throw in transformational. What's a spiritual transformational life coach? What sets me apart? And at the end of the day, I do coaching sessions. I have one-on-one clients that I talk to on a weekly or monthly basis, and that is my business. But what we're going to be doing in 2021 is going to be launching a program that is more accessible for a lot of people. And it primarily will focus on anger, talking about what is anger, really kind of giving the history of anger. Hey, Ripster, good to see you, my friend. And in this process, it was so funny because I started the process and choosing the category of anger because in my mind, I said, okay, what is a really big need that I see? What is something that comes up often with my clients? And it's not necessarily that people have anger issues. It's the fact that we're never taught how. Happy holidays. So glad that you're here. We're not taught how to express anger in a healthy way. It's very frowned upon in our society. And we're not taught that it's okay even to have bad days, that it's okay to have anger. And I realized so much in this process. So I think I said this on my last live, that as I was going through this program, putting this program together, I realized I was talking to myself. And I realized that I had a lot within me that I needed to deal with. And I wanted to take myself through this journey first and foremost before I take anybody else through this journey. And I wanted to be authentic for myself, but really for everybody else. Like, how can I tell you that this program is going to help you heal traumas in your past and it's going to help you have the life that you want now if I'm not willing or courageous enough to go there myself? And so I had to stop and I had to take a look at myself and I had to take a look at the things that I still had buried within me that I didn't even know were there. And that's how this healing journey works. And it can get frustrating at times when you're like, oh, well, I thought I dealt with that. But really, it's another layer that comes up when you're ready for it. It's another layer that comes up when it's finally safe to go there. And so instead of beating myself up or getting frustrated by these things, I was like, oh, okay, like I've got this thing that I need to deal with. And I actually went away for a couple of days and went to the mountains and spent some time by myself, all by myself, and was going through, it's not showing anything.
What?
Roopster says it's not showing anything.
I'm watching it right now.
I don't know. Okay. I'm sorry, Roopster. I don't know if it's the signal or what. Black screen.
Blank screen.
Oh, blank screen.
I'm watching.
I'm going to switch account and see if it shows it on another. I hope it's not a blank screen for everybody.
I don't think it is. Yep.
Okay, so I'm on another account, one of our kids' accounts, and it's showing regular, no blank screen. So I'm sorry, Roopster, I don't know what's going on. Yeah, podcast. If you can hear it, then that's great. You might want to try clicking out and clicking back in and see if that'll work. But I'm sorry. But getting back into what I was saying, with this process, I actually took a couple days and I went to the mountains all by myself to go through, just take myself through what I needed. And there's some videos that I have with me talking with my friend Leon, and I kind of explained in the last video what that was like. But when I went, no stream on. I don't know. It's showing that it's good here.
I don't know.
It's showing live on the other accounts.
Let me switch accounts.
Maybe Roopster, try to click out and come back in and see if that works.
So yeah, I went to my account.
Okay. So I went to the mountains, and I went there with the intention that I was going to face my anger. And I got really frustrated because what met me in the mountains wasn't anger, it was fear. And I honored that. I honored what came up. I worked through it. I took myself through it. I actually recorded myself, which I'm not sure when the right time to post that's going to be, but I do plan on sharing that so that you guys can see what that process looked like, raw in the moment when I'm actually experiencing fear. I'm actually in the midst of an anxiety attack, and how I took myself through it and how I was able to pull myself out of it. It's extremely vulnerable, which is why I haven't posted it yet, but that's coming. So while I'm in the mountains, hey Brian, can you see the screen? Because somebody was saying that, Roopster was saying that the screen was black. Can you see it as well as hear it? So I'm in the mountains, and I'm getting frustrated because I only have 2 nights there by myself, and I want to take advantage. Thank you, Brian. I want to take advantage of the time that I have. And so I went there with the intention of facing my anger. I literally went there with the intention to be able to scream by myself, to be able to punch a pillow if I needed to, or whatever I needed to do to release the anger that I was carrying in me. And it was really frustrating, and I was really afraid that I was going to waste the time that I had there. And although what I went through wasn't wasting the time, it still felt like it was, because it wasn't what I expected. And it took me when I got home to realize, I'm not really going to say what I did wrong, but where I kind of set myself up for failure. Yes, I went with the intention of healing, but I also went with the expectation of what I thought it would look like. And when you make an intention, you're allowing for it, whatever you're intending, to come to you or to happen. But when you make the expectation of what you think it's going to look like, you're setting limitations to yourself of what you can receive or what you can accomplish, or however it can come to you, or whatever it looks like to happen. And no sound and picture on my end. Roopster, I'm so sorry.
It might be a YouTube thing on his side.
Yeah. Now I've lost my trace, or lost where I was. But, setting the expectation. Mm-hmm. So, setting the expectation, I limited myself. Now, thankfully, I still honored what came up. Even though I was disappointed in the moment, I acknowledged afterwards, once I got home, that although I didn't receive what I wanted or what I expected, I received what I needed. And at the end of the day, everything either comes from love or from fear. And you can trace things on the energetic scale all the way to love or to fear. And anger is something that's actually, it's on the higher end of the low end of the scale. So where you have fear, you'll have shame and you'll have embarrassment and you'll have different emotions. But anger is actually up higher. Anger is something that you can shift into to help you get closer to love and peace and joy. It's closer to love than it is to fear. Anger isn't something that is, anger in and of itself is neutral. Oh, awesome. Great. Roopster refreshed it. Good. Okay. So on this journey, I've just learned so much about anger. I learned that I personally did not know the difference between anger and rage. And I was afraid. I was going to the mountains, like I said, with the expectation that I was going to scream and I was going to release all this anger. That's not what anger is. That's rage. And so I was really frustrated. And it's ironic too, because I was trying to, what the heck is anger? And realizing that my whole life, I didn't know what anger was. And I was thinking that anger was rage. And I was not wanting to feel anger, or I've been resisting feeling anger all of my life because I thought it was toxic. I thought you lose control. And the number one fear of the people that I've talked to, and which was one of my own as well, when it comes to healing your anger or allowing yourself to feel anger in a healthy way, the number one fear that I hear almost everybody say is they're terrified that they're going to lose control and they're going to explode and they're going to say something to their loved ones that they can't take back. And ultimately, they're going to ruin a relationship with a loved one if they allow themselves to express anger. That's the number one fear that I hear people say. And I have talked to a lot of people so far. And it's just amazing to me. The other thing that I learned is that rage has two sides to the negative polarity. And what I mean by that is everybody's very familiar with explosive rage. That is the rage that everybody seems to be so afraid of. That is where you're yelling and you look like a maniac and you feel like you lose control, or some people do lose control. They may even black out and they're saying things and they're yelling and you just look scary and you look like whatever judgments that you have about somebody who expresses that kind of explosive rage. So we're very familiar with that, right? But what about implosive rage? That hit me so hard when I realized that rage has another face on the negative end of the spectrum, and it's implosive. And that's where you shut people off. And you're not one that's going to be screaming at people. You're not one that's going to lose control. Actually, it's going to be hyper control. You're going to be so in control of yourself, so in control of the situation, so in control of your tongue. You're swallowing your truth. You're refusing to speak how you're actually feeling. And in your mind, you're just like, screw this person. I'm not dealing with this. I'm closing off my heart. My walls are up. I'm protecting myself. I'm done. I cut you off. We're over. And you may just walk away from the situation completely. You may actually physically walk away from the conversation, or you might just sit there quietly and stew and just know in the back of your mind that this is it and you're done with that person. And that's an implosive rage. And there's so much to this that I know I've learned, and I guess you guys don't see it because you guys, I don't know, if you don't follow me on my other social medias, you won't really have a good idea of what I'm doing. Following me on Facebook, you're going to have the most information, which is just Britta Albert Coaching. And following me on Instagram, you get the second most information. You'll see me the most on YouTube, but since I don't have access to the community forums, I can't really share things with you guys that are going on the way that I can on Facebook and Instagram. And so what I'm doing is, in creating this program, I am actually taking one of Sunny Lenarduzzi's courses, and she's helping me to put together this program that I'm going to be doing to bring everybody this course on anger. And I need to talk to at least 50 people before I even start really building the course. And so that's what I've been doing, is I have been talking to as many people as have been willing to talk to me. And if you want to be one of those people, I would be forever grateful, because it's data collection. It's market research. That's what I'm doing. And of the 50 people, I've talked about 30 so far. And again, like I said, the number one fear that everybody has when it comes to anger is that explosive rage. Everybody is so afraid to feel that explosive rage, to feel out of control. And really, what is anger? Anger is a protective mechanism. Anger is a trauma response, or I guess implosive rage or explosive rage. It's there to protect you, to keep you from feeling hurt, to keep you from feeling rejected, to keep you from feeling betrayed, to keep you from feeling shame, embarrassment, whatever the negative emotion is, either the memory or a trigger from a memory. And your mind says, this is like this experience that you had when you were in middle school and everybody laughed at you and you got rejected or you were picked last, or whatever the narrative is. Anger is what comes up, and it protects you. So it has positive sides to it as well. And we think that anger is just this toxic thing. Now, don't get me wrong. Anger can be toxic. It can literally cause, it's scientific, like it can cause you to have ulcers. It can cause you to have digestive issues. That's the stress that you hold on to when you're not speaking your truth. It can wreak so much havoc in your body and cause so many different things. So in a way, yes, anger is toxic and stress is toxic. But ironically, it's only toxic when you're not expressing it. When you are doing that implosive rage and you're holding everything inside and you're not expressing it. And it's not to say that you should always, hey Thomas, it's not to say that you should always lash out at people. That's not the healthy way to handle it. There's other ways to handle it than just to lash out. So I'm not saying to do that, but it would still be better for your body to lash out than to keep it inside. Either way, however you get it out is still better for your body. There's wise ways to do it. There's ways that serve you and serve others. There's ways that don't serve you and don't serve others. And that's more what I want to teach people, but really healing what's behind there. Healing what is that fear that the anger is protecting you from. Because I went on that mountain, guys, and I was expecting to meet my shadow, and I did. But it was not what I expected it to look like at all. I did not expect to get up on that mountain and have an anxiety attack. I did not expect to get up on that mountain and be consumed with fear. But I was. Because ultimately, instead of dealing with the anger, which was covering the fear, apparently I just went straight to the source. And it was intense. But at the same time, it was far less intense than I thought it was going to be, because I built this up in my mind. I had mentally prepared myself. I expected to go, and I expected to rage out and to purge rage. And I've been talking with my mentors and the people who, my coach, the people who support me. I had so many people who were praying for me. I had so many people who were at the ready in case I needed somebody and I needed help working through things. I had the intention to purge rage, and I was frustrated when it didn't happen. But ultimately, I got what I needed. And I had to ask myself, can that be okay? Can it be okay that it didn't look like I wanted it to look like? That it was what I needed? And can I trust that what came up was better than any rage purge I could have taken myself through? Could I trust that the process that's happening in the way that it's happening is divine and it's meant for my highest good? I was not there alone. Even though physically I was alone, I had so much assistance and so much love, not just from all of the people who were there helping me, but from my guides or angels or whatever you want to call them, spirits, God, source, universe. I had so much assistance, and I felt so much love when I finally allowed myself to feel the fear, because ultimately, hey, Harris, who's that sexy man? This is my husband, Stan.
Hello.
And he hasn't really talked yet because I've been talking so much.
I've been listening and showing my support.
Yes. Yeah, that ultimately the fear is what was behind the anger anyway. And the fear was what was calling to be healed. The fear was what was calling to be seen and felt so that it could leave my body and I could stop holding it. And that is worth everything. So in its own way, I kind of got a shortcut. I didn't have to experience the rage. And I was afraid to experience the rage. Why? Because I was afraid how it was going to feel. And I was afraid of losing control. And again, I'm saying these words. I was afraid. I was afraid of this because fear is what's behind the anger. Fear is what's behind the rage. So in realizing that I didn't know what fear was and I didn't understand, or recognizing that I hadn't understood before the difference between anger and rage, what I have found is that anger looks more like frustration. Anger looks like these tiny triggers that happen throughout our day that we are, what's the right words to use? We feel like offense. Somebody offends us. Something offends us that we see. It shows us a part of ourselves that we don't want to see. We don't like to see people being taken advantage of. We don't like to see people being hurt. So what's that? That's injustice.
Yes. Go look at the comments.
Anger, it's so much, it's actually less than I thought it was. It's a less intense emotion than I thought it was. Again, because I thought anger and rage were the same thing. And they're not. And anger looks more like frustration. Anger looks more like annoyance. Anger is the feelings of movement. Anger is movement. Because on the positive side of the spectrum, when it comes to anger, what does it do? It moves you through a situation, or it moves you out of a situation. So you might feel anger when you realize that there's a red flag in a relationship. And so for me, when I recognize that I'm being manipulated by somebody, instantly I'm pissed. And that anger comes up. And that helps me move through that situation or move out of a toxic relationship that I don't need to be in. So when it comes to expressing anger, it's being honest with yourself. You don't have to do it towards the person who is offending you. You don't have to do it to the person who is making you mad. It's not always safe to do that. And it's not always prudent to do that. Sometimes it's more wise to hold your tongue to save that relationship. And then when you're by yourself and it's safe, then you can sit and you can ask yourself, why is that offending me? Why is that hurting me? What is this telling me about my situation or about myself? And really understanding that it's okay that you're feeling angry. It's okay that you're feeling frustrated. And can you forgive yourself for the judgments that you have towards yourself for whatever you're feeling and why? If you go about your day and say you're at work and there's a coworker that is really getting on your nerves, and you might try to help this coworker, and you might be trying to help them grow, and they're just not listening. Okay. And they know everything. They don't want to hear what you have to say. And they're constantly screwing up, and they're on your team and it's reflecting you. I'm just creating this completely fake situation here. But instead of getting mad at them And there's a time where it's correct to do so. It's okay to set your boundaries and to say, okay, well, that's done. But there's another time where you can sit with yourself and you can say, why is this person getting on my nerves so much? What is it about this situation that is drawing my attention? And again, look at it as movement. What is it moving you to do? Is it moving you to set boundaries? Do you need to set boundaries with that person? Is that what the feeling is about? And it's moving you to change your situation. Anger can also help you to compete with yourself and to grow yourself, as long as you don't live there. Because we can live there and we can stay in a seat of judgment, and we can justify the way that we speak to ourselves by saying, if I don't stop, then everything in my life is going to fall apart. If I don't keep pushing myself, and believe me, I know what it's like to be stagnant and to be frustrated because you feel like you've got to go, you got to do something, or your self-worth is not there. But instead, again, you sit with it, and in certain situations, it's the right thing to let it move you and propel you. But then again, you don't live there. So you don't let it control you, and you don't use it as justification for speaking poorly to yourself or beating yourself up. So that was a very long-winded kind of explanation of why my program is going to be based on anger, and kind of a more in-depth look of what does that look like. And it's applicable to a lot more people than they might think it is. Because I've talked to some people who are very aware that they struggle with anger, and I've talked to even more people who were not aware that they actually fell into that category and learned that it is actually applicable to them. So that is what is coming in 2021 as far as my program goes. It's still in the works. I'm going to run a beta course before I ever launch it. I'll probably run at least 2 beta courses just to test it out, make sure everything's good, make adjustments as we go, and then finally launch the course. So I'm hoping my first beta course will be in February. I am hoping for either early or mid-February is my goal. So long-winded. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Welcome.
Happy to be here. Always happy to be here.
What do you think that 2021 has brought for you for growth?
What is it going to bring for me for growth?
Or, sorry, what do you think 2020 has brought for you for growth to bring you into 2021?
For me, I guess my story, long story short, 2020 has brought for me patience, because, we started our YouTube journey almost 2 years ago. It'll be 2 years for me in February. And I really wanted a lot of stuff to happen now. And I remember in 2019, you told me to enjoy the journey, but I could not enjoy the journey because I was rushing through the journey. And now that I realize what I've been doing, now I can sit back and see and really see and hear what you've been saying this whole time, is enjoying the actual journey, because we're doing this YouTube thing. I'm doing this YouTube thing, and I'm trying to do other things to branch off, but you only start it once in a lifetime. Like, I'm only going to start Life with Stan, my channel, hint, little plug there, once in my lifetime. I'm only going to go on this particular type of journey once in my lifetime. So every little step that I'm going through, whether it is good, whether it's bad, whether I think is challenging, whether I think is really, really great, I need to step back and enjoy the moment. And sometimes it's a teachable moment for me. Sometimes it's a lesson that I need to learn to help me for the following days and months and weeks and years that are coming, that will prepare me for other obstacles. Hope I'm saying that word right. That are coming my way. So I think what 2020 has really taught me is patience. Really patience and knowing that if you keep working hard enough and you keep the vision, it's going to happen. You got to believe in it. You got to believe in yourself. And as long as I keep believing and keep on my timeline that I want to be on, it's going to happen. So patience, I think that's the key word for me. Is 2020 was the way I learned how to have patience. And you would think with me being a dad, I would have been able to learn how to have patience, but no, it was my career that really taught me patience.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I know Brian said, what do you find is the best way to break from the moment to get to be by yourself so you can handle it correctly? I do pretty well with it, but I know some friends struggle with that piece as far as holding your tongue till the time is right. So when it comes to those moments, and that's, I'm glad that you brought that up, because that's actually something that I am going to have a specific, it's going to have its whole own like module on how to receive anger from other people, because that's one thing is when somebody is releasing their anger on you, your natural response is to put your walls up or to bark back because we're on the offensive. Okay, somebody's coming at you, or I guess you're defensive. You're on the defense.
Mm-hmm.
So somebody's coming at you with their anger and their issues, and they're unloading on you. What do? How can you take that and be okay with yourself and not feel the need to fight back? And it's not everybody's instinct to fight back, but there are plenty of people who have the instinct to fight back. So I know that's not exactly what you're asking, but that's one of the times that might happen. Another time is, like I was talking about, if you have a coworker and they're really pissing you off, or maybe it's your relationship at home. A lot of people have been cooped up in the same house and getting on each other's nerves in 2020. So I think most people can probably identify to that more than anything else. So there are some tools that you can use. Again, I'm going to answer this is in a very broad way because there's so many ways that it could come about. There's a lot more in-depth ways that I can answer this, so just bear in mind with that. So what is the best way to break away when somebody is pissing you off? Okay, it depends on the situation, and I hate to say that, but it does. Because if you're at school and you're in class, it's not always available as an option for you to get away. If you are in a relationship and your spouse is abusive, either verbally, mentally, or physically, it's not always an option to be able to get away in the moment. Sometimes you have to talk yourself through it and just remain silent, and that can be very difficult. I'm trying to think of more examples that could be applicable for this. If you're in a relationship or a space where it's safe for you to communicate, hey, I am getting really angry right now. I hear you. I hear that what you're saying, but I need you to know that this is not a time for me to be able to communicate with you. I need to take some time and step away and cool down. Do that. That would be ideal. But I would say that's maybe 5% of the time that people actually have those kind of relationships or work environment or school environment or things like home environment where they can actually do that. Most of the time, that's not the situation that people find themselves in. And so in those moments, survival is going to be number one. What is the safest option for you in the moment? Either safe for the relationship. You don't want to yell at somebody. Again, most people's greatest fear when it comes to anger is to be explosive and yell at somebody that they love and say something that they can't take back and ruin their relationship. So when you're in the moment and you're either receiving somebody's anger that they're dumping on you, or they're really getting under your skin and you're about to freak out on them, safety and survival are going to come first. If that means in the moment you put your walls up and you close yourself off and you stop talking and you zone out. Whatever you have to do in the moment to be safe is what you do. If you're able to walk away, even to say, I have to go to the bathroom, and just go to the bathroom and lock yourself in the bathroom. If you can get away with whatever excuse you can. It's gonna take a lot of time. I can't just tell you in this live and answer this question of like, what's the best way to handle it? Because it will be unique to each person and the situation that they're going through and the specific triggers that they have and what's behind their triggers. So I hope that helps a little bit. I know it's not the best answer, but number one, in the moment when you're experiencing anger, either something you're wanting to express or receiving somebody else's anger, survival and safety first. Do what you have to do to get through the situation, to keep yourself safe and to keep other people safe, to keep the relationship safe, to keep your job safe, whatever it is. If you're at school, to be able to stay in school. Survival is going to be first. And then after that, then we go deeper into breathing meditations and lots of tools that you can use and tips to help you mentally stay strong in a situation like that, and to calm yourself and comfort yourself and really build yourself up to understand that it's not you, and ways that you can have compassion for people and to see really what's going on behind their anger and see what's going on for them. But that comes later. Those steps, they're not going to happen the first time. They're not going to happen the second time. Probably not the third time either. It takes practice and you have to change your mindset, but you're not going to be able to change your mindset until you heal yourself. So I hope that helped. Let's see. Brian said, no, that's perfect. I love this. It gets its own piece. Yeah, it's so big. It needs its own piece. It takes a lot of tools, different types of solution, as anger can happen from lots of different ways. So we need to be able to solve lots of different ways. Exactly. Right. I knew it was a loaded question, wasn't expecting a full answer, as there's a lot to it. Yeah. And ultimately, if I can just give the simplest answer, it's going to come down to survival. It's going to come down to survival in the moment. And then with that module, it's going to be very specific for each person and who you are and healing you. Because if you can't heal you, you can't handle anybody else's stuff. And you can only offer compassion to the fullest extent of what you're willing to receive it. How we look at ourselves, how we treat ourselves. You can have somebody love you with their entire being. And if you don't think you're worthy of that love because you don't love yourself, you'll never be able to receive it. They can be literally giving you everything, and you could be standing there and saying, why don't you love me? And they're standing there saying, I give you everything I have. And the reason there's that disconnect is because you can't receive what you don't give, what you don't have for yourself. And it works the same way with anger, and it works the same way with healing traumas, and it works the same way with everything. Everything is a spectrum. You're only capable of so much. And so we don't try to change other people. We heal ourselves. And when we heal ourselves, you don't need to change other people. What are your thoughts, babe?
I agree. I thought that was beautifully spoken. But I agree definitely with you.
Thank you, Brian.
A round of applause.
Thank you. Yeah, so I'm really excited about this program. I'm really, really nervous. I will be completely transparent. This is huge. This is something I have never done before. And I have a lot of help, and I have great coaches who are very experienced on putting together programs like this, who have done many of them successfully. So I trust my guidance that I have, but I've never done it. And it's scary and it's nerve-wracking. And ultimately, why am I afraid? Because I want to bring you guys the journey that I've been taking myself through these last 3 years or more. I want to bring people the type of healing that I have gone through. I want to bring people the freedom that comes with healing. So it's not just, can I bring a viable product to market, pretty much. It's not just, can I have a well put together program for people to enjoy. I am a transformational life coach. And this is where the transformational piece of my title, my long mouthful of a title, comes into play. I want people to authentically experience the transformation that brings them freedom, that brings them joy, that brings them success. That it sounds corny, but it makes your wildest dreams come true. Because, think about it. What could you accomplish if the things that were holding you back were healed? What would your life look like if the memories that haunt you in the middle of the night when you're trying to fall asleep weren't there? Like, what would life look like if you could rewrite your history and the thing that holds you back is no longer a narrative in your story? Like, who would you be? And that can be a scary question in and of itself, because when we are in these narratives, especially, and I use the word victim very compassionately, because victim has a really negative surrounding. That's not the right word, but I can't think of it right now. We look at the word victim really negatively in our society. And in some ways, I say rightfully so, because living in victimhood robs us of everything that we are and everything that we're capable of. And so I saw being a victim as like the enemy. But there's a place for victimhood, and it's not something to be judged either. Because think about your life and think about everything you've been through. And think about the pain that you carry and the fear. And really think about, who are you without that? It becomes so much a part of our story. It becomes such a part of who we think we are and the limitations that we put on ourselves, but also the positive things, where we can say, I've been through so much, and I acknowledge that I've been through so much, so I can acknowledge that I'm at least this strong because I've survived through this and this and this. To take away your story feels like you're taking away what makes you strong, right? So taking away the victim part of that story, there's a lot of reason to not want to heal that. Even though we know we'll be better off. We don't know what that freedom looks like. We don't know what that freedom tastes like. We don't know what that freedom feels like. And there's a fear that we'll lose a part of ourselves that we fought so hard for in what we've been through. So to forgive parts of ourselves, to forgive others, and let go of the pain and move forward, that seems so insurmountable to so many people. Like it's like a fairy tale. Like, that would be nice, but not ever actually believing that you could do it. And that's the bridge I'm trying to build between the doubt and the fear. So here's the result. Here's the ultimate freedom. Here is you actually being the fullest potential that you have to offer yourself in the world. Everything that you know that you are in the depths of your soul, but you have believed is no longer part of your story and where you're at currently. And the reason that I'm putting so much pressure on myself for this program and why I have the fear is because I want that transformation for people. And I want this program to be that bridge. That it's no longer too scary. And there's no longer that darkness of who will I be, or will I lose this part of myself? That people can move forward on their journeys to heal with confidence and courage. And you can see a little bit further down that path, and you can trust that I'm not going to lose the parts of me that I'm proud of. That healing and forgiving does not negate the strength that I have gained through this experience, but healing it actually amplifies it. And really trusting and settling into the peace that comes with that. And it's more than courage. Like, it really is peace. I want this to be that bridge so that it no longer is a I wish, or that would be nice, but that this is the piece that's missing. This is the piece that says, I can't wait to do that. This is the piece that says, I am doing it. I'm going to do it. I can see it. Whatever that looks like, whatever that bridge would be named for you. That is my why for this program. And yeah, it's gonna be big. Are there gonna be bugs? Heck yes. That's why we're gonna have a beta trial run. Are there gonna be bugs after that? Yes, that's the point of a beta trial run, is that people are going to go through it. They're gonna go through the program. They're gonna have their transformations, and they're gonna give me feedback. And then I'm going to tweak and change things to make it better. And then we'll have another beta run, and people will go through that and give me their feedback. Like, feedback is so valuable. I think it's something that some people are afraid of in business, especially in like coaching, because it's so, you pour your heart and soul into it. And to get feedback is like almost like you're hearing you're not good enough. We're not hearing you didn't do it well enough, or you didn't do it right, or you messed up, or whatever the narratives. But the feedback is what makes it stronger. The feedback is what makes it powerful. So will it be perfect by the end of 2021? Probably not. But I will promise that I will continue to do my best to keep improving it, to keep learning, to keep doing more research, as Brian says, and to keep taking myself through this journey first and foremost. I am going to take every step before I ask anybody else to take a step. I'm going to do it first. I'm going to take myself through it first. I'm learning all of this and experiencing it for myself so that I can teach it. What do you think?
I think it's awesome. I'm excited to see where your program goes. I know from my personal experience, because I'm the husband, so I get to see a lot of behind the scenes that you guys don't get to see.
The good, the bad, the ugly.
I'm super excited for what's to come. And the thing that really enlightens me or makes me happy every time you say it is the transformational life coach. Because that, to me, when I hear the word transformation, that literally is bringing a whole new world, living your best. I had a friend of mine who his favorite gospel song was "The best is yet to come." Well, your best is now. So I'm excited for you to put together this program to see how it affects the many, many people, because I know it will affect and impact the many people that you're going to come in contact with on a day-by-day basis. So I feel honored and privileged to be your husband and to sit here beside you and watch this thing go.
Aww.
So I'm super excited. I've been on the bandwagon, I guess you can say, since day one.
So.
Since day one. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited. I'm happy for you. And I think one of the things, and I'm not trying to, take over the show or anything like that.
I just talked for like 40 minutes. So,
but
please.
I think one of the things that I've learned with listening to programs myself is one thing from the behind the scenes that I've learned with me and her is communication.
Mm-hmm.
And I've learned to be a better communicator because of her. And being here live, I want to pat you on the back because, like I say, when you're the husband, you get to see the highs and the lows. You get to see the frustration, the anger, you know,
Tears.
you can get to see everything. It's like she has, and you guys might not notice, but she has a phoenix tattoo on her foot. And she has been burned to a crisp. And now it's time for her to rise from the fire. And I am so lucky and privileged to watch her rise from this fire. So I'm excited. I'm on board. I'm ready for 2021 because I know the possibilities are endless. And we're Team Albert, thick and through. So we got this.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I'm excited. You know, gosh, I have so many things planned for the people that go through the program. They don't even know. Y'all don't even know. Get ready.
Mm-hmm.
For everybody who feels, if you want to be a part of my, thank you, Thomas. Glad you made it home safe.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to be part of my data, my market research, my data collection, and you want to help me and just get on a quick 15, 20-minute phone call and answer questions and be part of the legacy. Like right now it's live, so I don't have a description yet, but when this ends, I'm going to have the description of this in this video, then my Calendly link, and that goes to my calendar, Calendly calendar. And if you click that, then you can schedule something or find me on Instagram at Britta Albert LC, as in life coach, Britta Albert LC, or like I said, Facebook, Britta Albert Coaching, or my website, BrittaAlbertCoaching.com. You find me on any of those, and you can send me a message, and we can connect that way if you don't want to click on the Calendly link. But if you want to be a part of the legacy, like, I would love to hear from you. I would just love to ask you some questions and get your feedback on stuff, because that's helping me to even build this program. And then for anybody who wants to be a part of the trial run, the beta, either the first run beta or the second run beta, like, this stuff is going to be big. And I am excited for it. What they're saying. So
Brian and Thomas are having their own separate conversation.
Oh, okay. I see all these comments. I don't want to miss them.
Yeah.
So I am very, very excited, because this is,
transformational.
Mm-hmm. But again, like, I have so many ideas, as even just thank yous that I'm going to do for the beta people. Like, when they go through, people are like, they're going to get way more than they think they're going to get with this. And I'm excited because I've always wanted to do this. And this is the start. This is the start to what I can give. Like, there's a reason that we go through the things that we go through. And it makes us uniquely qualified to be able to help others who are in those situations. So everybody who is going to go through this, they're each their own individual person, and it's not going to be a cookie cutter solution. That's what makes it so rich and so valuable. It's going to be tailored to each individual person and what their triggers are and what their traumas are, what they've been through in life, what they've overcome, what they're stuck with currently. And then each person who goes through this will then be their own version of uniquely qualified to help other people along the way. And that's why I say, like, when you heal yourself, you don't need to change other people, because healed people heal people. It just is.
Yes.
And the people who need you are going to find you. And right now is the process and the time in your life where you're healing yourself to prepare yourself for the people who are going to need you down the road. And it could be something as simple as having a conversation with a stranger who needed to hear a word in that moment. And to you, it doesn't mean anything, but to them, it changed their life. How many times Has there been a teacher in your life and you're like, if it hadn't been for that one teacher that believed in me, or if it hadn't been for this person who said this word at the right time and it struck me, and so many times people make a difference in our lives, and sometimes we don't even know their names, and it was just something fleeting. Like, I can't tell you how many conversations I've had with people, and I'm like, man, I wish I would have got that person's name. Best example ever, airplane conversations. You meet, I have befriended some people that I sat with on airplanes, and I'm still connected with them on Facebook. But there are other people that I'm like, dang, I wish I would have got their information. I should have done that, because this person that I sat next to, if you sit next to me on a plane, homegirl's afraid of heights. I do not like flying. I do not like flying. Let me stress this. So whoever I sit next to, I always kind of feel bad for them, but they're always a godsend. I always find myself sitting next to the most perfect person. I don't know if you guys like essential oils, but I love them. And I will tell you, I had never heard of Young Living before. And this is not to say that Young Living is better than doTERRA. I'm not getting in that war. I'm just saying, I'd never heard of this company before. I found myself on a plane coming home from a business trip, and there was this Young Living rep coming home from some conference that they had. And we ended up sitting next to each other, and she had an oil for anxiety. Like, how could I be sitting next to that person? How could I be sitting next to the most perfect person that I needed in that moment? And we had a beautiful conversation, and she kept me engaged and distracting, not looking out the window. And for like 3 hours, we talked and had a beautiful conversation, and we're still friends to this day. Another time, I sat next to I don't even know the word for it. I knew it at the time. He told me, but he did tapping, and I'd never heard of tapping before. And I know this is starting to become more mainstream, but it engages your nervous system. And so as you're tapping, you can say things, and you can have mantras, and you tap your head, you tap your forehead, and you're like activating these different nerves. And so he was showing me ways to do the tapping to help with anxiety and to help with breathing and things like that. And so, like, you can't make this stuff up. Point being, I got off on a tangent. You never know. You never know whose life you're going to change just by being you and going through what you're going through right now, going through what you've been through, and healing who you are. Whether it's with me, whether it's with another coach, or whether you're on this journey by yourself, I applaud you. I applaud the courage that it takes to look at yourself and decide that you're not going to run from yourself anymore, and to give yourself the grace necessary to forgive yourself and to forgive the judgments that you have about yourself. That is huge. So huge. And if everybody did that, if half the world's population did that, I can't even fathom what our world would be like. So I am grateful for everybody watching this right now, either watching it live or watching it on the replay. And I applaud you guys. I applaud each and every one of you, because if you're watching this, then you know I am a life coach. So you're probably not watching this to be entertained. I hope I'm entertaining, but I have no misconceptions. I am not the funny one. Check out Life with Stan if you want to laugh, because my husband is the funny one. So if you're here, you're probably here to heal yourself. If you're here, there's something that you're in alignment with the things that I talk about and I say, which means that you are either already on your healing journey, or you're just beginning your healing journey, or you've been on it for a long time. But either way, I applaud you. I honor you. And 2021, man, it's going to be big. Mm-hmm. It's going to be really, really big. Let's see. Just Thomas Unboxing.
Thomas, I think, has a new channel. Maybe.
Thomas, is that
maybe it's
you, or is it a different Thomas? Brian, what stories make sense? I'm on my iPad.
Thomas, do you have 2 channels now?
Is this the debut of a second channel, or is this a second Thomas?
I do. Do we have 2 Thomases in the building?
Yeah. That's another channel. It's not me. Oh,
Wow.
cool. Okay.
Wow, that blew my mind. It just blew my mind.
Very cool.
So
Well, hello to both
Yeah,
Thomases.
we have
So glad to have you here.
2 Thomases in the building.
Yes.
And the other Thomas actually does unboxing too.
That is crazy.
Yeah, so that was.
Hey, maybe you guys
freaky.
can collab.
Who knows?
Yeah.
That's freaky. I thought Thomas had a new second channel.
I've had this channel for a while, just me, to see if I want to make another channel.
So there's 2 Thomases, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So
No Stannis, me, Thomas, short Thomas.
Huh? I'm getting confused. So there are actually 2 Thomases in the building, in the YouTube.
No, there's one.
Oh, so
you are on 2 channels.
Okay. So he is the second channel.
It's just confusing us.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay, I think he was saying that one is on his iPad and one is on the phone. Is that correct? 2 different channels.
I think so.
Well, thank you for the watch time.
Yeah.
That is fantastic. I appreciate that very much.
And we have to check out the unboxing
Yeah.
channel. I didn't know he did that.
Yeah. Secret channel we just discovered.
Yeah.
Well, guys, it's right at an hour.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to keep this right at about an hour, so that way, for you watching later, it's not going over too much. But thank you guys again. I hope that you have a fantastic New Year, safe New Year, and thank you for being here. I am so, without sounding cliche and just saying the same thing over and over again, I'm so excited. I am so excited for what's coming. And I'm so excited and grateful for this platform and for all of you being here with me. So I hope you guys have an awesome, awesome New Year's.
Yep.
And I'm posting a video tomorrow. But after that, I'll see you in 2021. Bye, everyone.